Hello and welcome to the Burt Locker. This is a Burt Locker deep dive into UFC Vegas 70. That is not as sexual as it sounds, all right? Nothing sexual. It's literally just taking a deeper look into a couple of the fights that are coming up this Saturday. And it's just to go in conjunction really with my casuals guide, which you'll also find on my channel. So please go and subscribe. That'd be fantastic. But the casual run through is kind of a fun kind of joke, a bit lighthearted, just, you know, quick hits. It really is a lot of fun, so you should go and check out that video. But this one is a little bit deeper, it's a little bit more serious, taking a look at a couple of key fights that are coming up on the card that I'm interested in, taking a look at a few betting lines, that kind of business, you know. So if that sounds good, stay with me for the Burt Locker deep dive into UFC Vegas 70. We're going to be focusing on two fights. Well, if you're on the Patreon right now, then you'll be seeing Andre Muniz versus Brendan Allen. But if you're on the YouTube, we're going to skip straight to the main event, which is going to be, what's it called? Nikita Krylov against Ryan Spann. It's actually a real good one. So, if you want to see Andre Muniz versus Brendan Allen, middleweight fight, two very good submission guys, going to be a very interesting fight. This breakdown is over on my Patreon. That's the Burt Locker on Patreon, so go and head over to there. Now, we've got the main event of the evening. It's going to be the light heavyweight contest between Nikita Krylov and Ryan Spann. Now, you've got Nikita Krylov standing at 6'3" and 6'5" for Ryan Spann. You've got to bear in mind that Nikita Krylov is a former heavyweight as well. So we're going to start off with Nikita Krylov. Now, if you look up grizzled veteran in the dictionary, then you've got a picture of Nikita Krylov there. Look at his face. He's so weathered and worn, and he's just such a tough guy. Like he's like an old piece of shoe leather. He's so difficult to put away. He has been submitted. He's only been knocked out one time in his entire career, and that was against a heavyweight when he fought a heavyweight against Sal Paleli, I believe. He was a fun fighter. You go and look up Sal Paleli. He was fun. He was good. He was good to watch. He was funny. Anyway. In the striking department, Nikita Krylov, he tends to get into firefights, but he's quite good in them. He bites down on his mouthpiece and he just tends to swing. And as I said, he's very difficult to put away. Because like I said, he is a former heavyweight and he's used to being hit by former heavyweights. Now, Krylov, as I say, he's been around a long time. He's been around since 2013. That's UFC 164. Right? This is his second UFC run. Now, his record is up and down. He got caught in that triangle by Paul Craig, but outside of that, Paul Craig didn't have a chance in that fight. He was getting battered. But it's just, you know what Paul Craig's like. He can catch a triangle from anywhere. So look, there's not too much to be made by that loss. Now, Krylov, I would throw this out there. He is a goddamn finisher. He is a finisher if there ever was one. Check out his record, man. 29 wins. Only 2 of those wins have gone the distance. 2 out of 29. That is an insane finishing rate, right? 15 submissions on that, and the rest are all KOs, 12 KOs. Look, his grappling is deceptively good. And because he's not like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, he's more of a Sambo guy, but his submissions are just so good. He's very good positionally. He's difficult to catch, like, you know, Paul Craig aside, but he's just very, very dangerous. And, you know, you don't get 15 submissions by accident. He's got 12 knockouts as well. Look, his striking isn't like flashy. He's got a head kick knockout on his record against some guy honestly I hadn't really heard of, but I did watch that and it was nice. You know, it was a nice knockout. So it shows that he can do. He's dangerous with his feet. He's dangerous with his hands. A lot of it is kind of basic, but I mean that as a compliment. It's a good thing. The fundamentals have to be sound. And if you've got those sound fundamentals, then you're going to be a real problem. It's kind of like the opposite of Johnny Walker, if you will, because he's just all flash, no fundamentals. So, yeah, for me, look, I'm a big fan of Nikita Krylov, in case you didn't notice. And, yeah, he's just a very strong all-rounder with very few weaknesses, actually. He's much better than his record suggests, and he kind of flies under the radar a little bit, just Nikita Krylov. But then you've got his opponent, Ryan Spann. Now, he has got some attributes. He is huge, gigantic for light heavyweight. He really is. Like, his 2-inch reach is going to be pronounced because he is 6'5". That's big for a light heavyweight. And he hits hard. He's a very hard hitter, and he hits long very well. He covers a lot of distance with his punches. Like, I mean, he does throw a Superman punch that basically covers the length of the octagon, width or whatever. And you got to bear in mind, his striking is very good when he's on form. Because even in the loss to Johnny Walker, he dropped him like really nicely. In fact, he was kind of unlucky not to get the win in that one. Now, the other thing that SPANN threatens with, other than his striking is very good. He stays long, he's got a good jab, and his right cross is pretty nice as well. He generates a lot of power, and he covers a lot of distance. So you think you're out of range, and actually you're not. And all of a sudden he's stung you with something, and you're like, oh no, that stung. And that's when you kind of drop him down. He's gotten a few people where they've had to drop down to a kind of sloppy takedown because he stung them on the feet. One such man was Ion Cutelaba. Now he just got him, snatched him up in that guillotine, and it was I believe that's how it went. I might have mixed him up with the other one, but either way, he's got a very good guillotine, Ryan SPANN. He's gotten a few people with it, Sordy, Clark and Ion Cutelaba. They're all victims of that guillotine. He just seems to be able to snatch up that neck, and yeah, just don't even let him half get it, because he's got a good squeeze on him. He is a blue belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He does know what he's doing. But that being said, the main weakness that I see for Ryan SPANN is his mindset. Sometimes he just goes there and you can tell he's not quite there. You saw that against Anthony Smith. He just couldn't quite get going. But that's the problem with trying to predict these fights. You don't know what's going on in their heads. You don't know if they've had a good week, bad week, good training session. You don't know, like, the little injuries they're always kind of carrying. But if we base it on what we've seen in the last couple of fights, then he's got a decent chance here. However, one caveat on that: since the Smith fight, he's got two very good wins in Dominic Reyes and Ion Cutelaba. However, I would say that neither Ion Cutelaba or Dominic Reyes are on top of their game at the moment, and I don't think he fought them when they were. Ion Cutelaba he's fun, but he's very beatable. Very beatable. Like, anybody who's half decent in that division will beat Ion Cutelaba. And with the greatest respect, same for Dominic Reyes. I thought that he was pushed into that Jones fight far too quickly, because who had he beaten really? He knocked out Chris Weidman, and outside of that, he hadn't done a great deal in that division. And then, yeah, he got beaten by John Jones, and since then, he's just looked bad. He hasn't looked good at all. Let's be completely honest. And so, yeah, a win over Dominic Reyes doesn't mean what it once did. So strength of schedule, I'd have to say it's probably in Nikita Krylov's favour, honestly. So, in summary, for me, this one largely depends on which SPANN shows up, if he's right in there. Also, if he uses his height and reach. If he uses his height and reach, which he actually often does, to his credit, he's quite good at using it, because he knows it's an attribute that plays to his advantage. He uses the jab, the cross, like, he's going to have success, because the straight punches, he covers a lot of distance, he generates a lot of power, which is nice. You're going to have to watch out for knees up the middle as well, because he's a tall guy, and he can get that knee up to the head height very, very easily. And KRYLOV does tend to keep his head more or less on the center line, which can be a problem if you're looking at knees. However, he's going to have to watch out. If he's going to be throwing those knees, he needs to make sure they land, because if KRYLOV grabs a hold of him and gets him down to the floor, I think KRYLOV submits him, because I think that there are levels in grappling. Ryan SPANN is pretty good, especially with that guillotine and when he's the hammer, but I don't think he's the nail very well on the ground. I think if KRYLOV gets him on the ground and really puts him into some bad positions, we could see Ryan SPANN fade. And my pick ultimately is KRYLOV by submission. I do think that's where this one is going. I'm just going to have a quick look at some of the odds, because I don't know what I'm betting on yet. So Ryan SPANN is coming. Oh, he's coming in as the underdog. I'm surprised by that, actually. KRYLOV's coming in as the head favourite. I agree, but I am surprised that the bookies see it that way as well. We don't usually agree on these things. So Krylov, to get the submission, 350, knockout 350. So yeah, that's pretty fair because he does tend to, you know, he's got 15 submissions, 12 knockouts. So it's pick your poison in that respect. Unlikely to go to a decision because it is a 5-round fight and it's very rare that Krylov goes to a decision. So that's why you're getting good odds there. But it's, I don't see it happening. SPANN to get the knockout is 3-1, so that's +4. Submission is 5.5, so that's 4.5 to 1. Decision 15. So yeah, I don't. For me, there's some value there in maybe the SPANN knockout, because I think if he does beat Krylov, it's probably going to be he catches him with a long right hand and kind of stuns him and then moves him for the kill and gets the TKO or knockout. I think that if you're going to bet on SPANN to win, for me it would be the TKO or knockout. That's +4, so 3-1 there. That's not bad at all. So double chance TKO or submission for Krylov, 1.80. There's no value in that at all. I mean, it's probably going to happen. It does cover off both eventualities, and I do think it's likely. But then, you know, if Ryan SPANN throws a spanner in the works, pardon the pun, and finds the win, then all of a sudden you've gotten terrible odds and you've lost your money as well. I'd rather get the longer odds, if I'm totally honest. So either fight by TKO, either fight by submission, 2.38, not really any value there. So the fight's probably going to end inside the distance. What odds have you got on that? Fight will go the distance, yes, plus 4.5 to 1. There's a good reason for that, because it's probably not going to go to the distance. So for me, I don't know. I think that I like Krylov by submission. That's probably the bet. If I'm going to put some money down, it's probably going to be Krylov by submission, and I might do a side bet on SPANN by knockout, because I think that's the way that SPANN wins it, if he does win it at all. But either way, look, this is a really fun main event, and the winner of it, kind of, the light heavyweight division, it's all in a bit of turmoil right now. You know, the contenders all jump up and down quite regularly because the champions have been changing hands so often. There isn't this one solid guy at the top, John Jones, anymore. He's obviously moving to heavyweight. So, look, the winner of this could stake a claim to a #1 contender fight kind of this year. So the winner of this fight could set them on a path that could get them into a championship contender fight by this year, which is going to be very interesting. It's very interesting. So yeah, that's all I've got time for on this one. If you could do me a favour, if you've enjoyed this, please hit like, hit subscribe, and yeah, we'll recap all these. We'll see which bets actually came off and which ones didn't next week. Until then, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.